Broadcasting from the Business RadioX studio in Alpharetta, it's time for ProfitSense with Bill McDermott.
Good morning, everyone. We're here with ProfitSense, and my guest today is Ken Madren, CEO of PermaTherm. Ken, welcome. So glad to have you on the show.
Bill, it's always great to be with you. Happy to be here. It's my first podcast, so I'm intrigued.
Yeah, well, there you go. We're going to have some fun, and so for our audience, I'm just going to think back. I think it has been close to 10 years that you and I have worked together. We've been in the trenches. We've been in the mountaintops. I have seen you and your leadership team literally transform PermaTherm, I would say, and certainly thinking about people and strategy. And some of the things that you've done with your sales process, some of the culture that you've built, you've just really built an exceptional company.
Well, Bill, we've done that together. You've been a part of that crafting team, and 10 years, that's hard to believe.
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
I guess so. Yes, sir. That was a blink, and a very busy blink. Thanks for the kind words there.
Yeah. So one of the things that I think is a hallmark of you and your team is you really have great focus. And really, I'd like to just spend a little time you telling a little bit on how to really focus and drive the most important metrics in your business. So talk a little bit. You and your team do a great job of managing by the numbers. So talk about kind of where that maybe started and how you have built that into your business over time.
Yeah, well, that's not something we came in the door with necessarily. It's something that we had to get to. And, coincidentally, our coming together was right on the heels of the Great Recession. And I think PermaTherm was kind of a microcosm of chaos that was going on.
Yeah, buddy. Wow.
I don't think that we can adequately state the description of what was happening with small business owners, medium business owners, large business owners. I only know my own case. And at that time, it was literally one day at a time. What are we going to do? How do we stop this particular leak, this particular hemorrhage, and kind of right the ship? And when you go through something like that, which was horrific at the time, if you get through something like that, you probably found a rock or two to put your big toe on and gain a little bit of stability. And what that was in our case, it's that case with every business. It's the numbers. It's the numbers.
Yeah.
It's the numbers. And why am I saying it that way? Because you get distracted by so many other things. Listen, people are critically important. Our people are our number one asset, but it's the numbers first, or you can't sustain the people.
Yeah, and you and I have had conversations a lot. Frankly, most business owners spend a good bit of time on their income statement. Gosh, everything must be okay because I'm profitable. But you actually, especially even recently, we've had conversations about, Bill, you'd tell me I'd really like to spend time on the balance sheet. And so talk a little bit about some of the things that the audience might be interested in as far as metrics on the balance sheet. I know, we've looked at receivables and inventory turn. We're watching cash. Certainly leverage has been something that's been discussed. But what are some of those most important things to you and you feel like would be helpful to our audience?
Well, I'm finding a migration, albeit a slow migration, towards a focus on the balance sheet. It's all about profits and managing loss, and so the P&L kind of dominates. But as time goes on and you get further and further away from events like the recession, things that you do just as a matter of course, impact the balance sheet. And if you're not thinking about that, you have some things occur on your balance sheet that are not necessarily problematic, but maybe less than desired. So we've been growing, and, growth requires cash, and we have cash, but we also have leverage, or access to leverage. So we have to be careful about new machine purchases, or how we structure new machine purchases. Hey, we've got this machine that folds, cuts, slices, dices, and bends, and you can have it for the low price of $1 million. And we also have a financing package. Well, you can get so enamored by the machine that you don't pay as much attention to the financing package, and all of a sudden your balance sheet is just a little different than what you had anticipated. So as we mature in our operations with PermaTherm, we're trying to focus more on that balance sheet, increase debt coverage covenants, have more liquidity, have more retained earnings. And I think where you focus on that for the long term is on the balance sheet. And that's what you and I are spending more time with of late.
Yeah. So I'm going to break away a little bit from financials. For our audience, PermaTherm's got a fascinating product. So structural insulated panels. But tell our audience a little bit about who PermaTherm is, what PermaTherm does, and even further, what do you feel differentiates PermaTherm from its competitors?
Well, PermaTherm is it was founded in 1988. And at its roots, it's four businesses, if you will. We manufacture polystyrene foam, and that's kind of the crux of the four businesses. And the markets that we serve with that product are, we serve the packaging industry. If you've pulled lighting out of a lighting box, you may have been in contact with some PermaTherm foam. We also have a pipe insulation division where that same foam and some other foams are fabricated into high performance insulation materials for institutional refrigeration applications, ammonia refrigeration. And we've been in that space for a number of years. There's also a commodity foam component where roof insulation, perhaps dock flotation, things of that sort. So that's another division. And the other division is the insulated panel division. And what I would say about that division is that's where we focus the most. In many cases, that business is, it's a very competitive business. There are manufacturers of insulated metal panels all across the country, some much larger than ours. We make similar products. In the end, that product is supposed to perform thermal controls. Insulated metal panels in our case are climate controlled technologies. Any controlled environment that you intend to keep indoors, primarily in food or some sort of clean room facility, perhaps pharmaceutical, or maybe indoor growing cultivation spaces. Well, our product provides you an environment that's stable, doesn't vary, keeps cold, keeps ambient, and is a clean, hospitable environment. And I think so that's kind of the product side. And there are pros and cons to this product or that product. But at the end of the day, I think what differentiates PermaTherm from the competitors is our approach to our customers.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, candidly, all of the products themselves will work. They all perform very well. But our customers aren't really just looking for product. They're looking for solutions. They're trying to make an addition, make a renovation, make an expansion. They're running a business too. And
they have a problem and you need to solve it.
That's really it. And Our approach is less about the product solving the problem. It will, but we feel like that's leaving a little bit on the table in terms of the service that we could provide to the customer. You know, we move a lot of panels, and we come into contact with a lot of construction projects that have some nuances. Well, we feel like, barring anyone's confidence, we bring a lot of experience to the next customer that would probably help them save $1 or two.
Since 1988, I would see why.
That's really what we bring. So it's a little less transactional. It's a little less product driven, and it's a whole lot more. Let me tell you, or let me listen to you about what you're trying to accomplish, and then let me call on our experience and see if we can't bring a little more to you in terms of counsel or service than just a quote per square foot of linear, insulated metal panels.
Yeah. And to talk a little bit about that person that maybe is calling you and saying, hey, I just need a quote, which is code for, gosh, all these panels are alike. I just need to know what your cost is. They're really missing the point, aren't they?
Well, I think so. Maybe. From our perspective, we have more to offer than that. Now, if that's all you need, and it truly is all you need, and you earnestly do want a quote, well, then we're happy to provide it. Mm-hmm. But really and truly, that's probably not the person that we can serve the best.
Right. Because they don't know what they don't know.
Correct. If you're in a situation where it might help you to understand that, with these coolers and freezers in particular, you're really constructing an underwater environment. Now, that sounds ridiculous, but it's the truth. If you've ever had a cool glass of water in a restaurant and seen condensation on the side of the glass, then you know it. Cold attracts heat. With heat, there's humidity. That's where that condensation comes from.
Okay.
Well, if we're going to build 10,000 square feet of that, there's an awful lot of heat attracted to some cool.
Yeah. And
there's considerations to take with that. It's not rocket science, but it's things that you do need to understand. And your contractors need to understand if you're going to have a successful installation. And that's the kind of thing that I think we bear with our experience, to our customers. And if that's valuable, then I think we have a tremendous amount to serve, or offer. If you don't need all that, or you're not interested in all of that, then it really does come to, hey, give me a price per square foot.
As with anything, the devil's always in the details, isn't it?
Indeed. Yeah. Yep.
So switching away a little bit from just products and differentiators, you have talked a lot about prioritization planning. Obviously, as a business owner, you're juggling multiple priorities. The company has multiple initiatives that it might be taking on, setting proper expectations of timelines. Certainly in your sales process, you have been fine-tuning that of late. So talk a little bit about prioritization planning and setting proper expectations of timelines.
Well, that's something that you and I work on monthly, along with our senior management team. And here's why I think it's important to work on that monthly, because in your day-to-day operations, there are any number of issues, concerns, items that crop up that sort of take you away from what you thought were going to be the priorities, what we agreed were going to be the priorities last month. It's just like the tide on the beach when you're a kid and you're playing on your raft and you're right in front of your folks, and you look up and your folks are 100 yards away, and you think, man, I need to get back out on the beach and come back up because that's where I need to be. Well, that's what happens in the day-to-day operation of business. At my level, at every level, the tide takes you away from your focus. So here's why it's so important to be cognizant of that. You need to put a post in the sand and say, okay, what are we going to focus on? We're going to focus on the numbers. Well, that's a little vague. What kind of numbers? You and I have talked about the power of one. If we can improve our sales close rate by 1%, the numbers will be X. Okay. How will we improve our sales close rate by 1%? And that's just an example that we've worked on lately. And then you go into a methodology which produces a plan, which produces action for the next 30 days. And then you need a 30-day checkup. You need to pick your head up from the water and check, where are you on the beach? And most often I find if it's much further than 30 days, we're not in line. Business took us away. So I think a constant challenge for us, and probably many others, but I know for us, is pull away. Identify those priorities. It may be some impact you want to have on your balance sheet, or it may be something you want to do with sales, or it may be more of a human element addition. Whatever that priority is, agree to it, commit to it, have a plan for it, and then come back and say, where are we on that? And candidly, you help us a lot with that. Regularly, because of that current of business, I look at that schedule where we meet monthly and say, boy, if I just moved that, I could sit in this insurance meeting and maybe we'd save money on our insurance package. So I don't know what we're going to talk about with Bill. So maybe I need to change that. I don't. And what I've learned over time is don't miss it, because it's about those priorities. That insurance thing, it came up, and yeah, there might be an opportunity, but are you staying on your priorities and moving the needle? And it takes a real discipline. It's one thing to say priority. It's another thing to stick to it and drive them through.
Yeah. And I will tell you, it's a big club out there. The CEOs that I work with are so busy at times working in the business. They don't take time, call a timeout, and actually take a step back and work on the business. Sometimes you just can't see the forest for the trees. And so, every once in a while, I think every once in a while, if you're cutting a path through a forest, every once in a while, somebody needs to shimmy up to the top of the tree, look out over the horizon, and kind of see, is my path straight? And by the way, I'm not going to run into a mountain or a river that I'm going to have to cross.
Yep.
And so, just getting that perspective, I think is so critical.
It is. And pull out for a minute, because there's no end to the trees if you stay in them.
Yeah.
Now you're going back to the trees.
No end to the tide either.
No end to the tide. No end to the tide. Yep.
So, we're going to talk a little bit about people in just a second, and the fact that, the real assets of PermaTherm are the people. I'd like to spend a little time. You have built a great culture. You look at, your employees, your clients, your vendors, really as family, and you treat them like family. And so, talk a little bit about maybe, as you have built that culture over time, what were some of the key milestone points where you said, hey, I need to do this? And, so just talk a little bit about that progression in PermaTherm.
Yeah. I don't think that I had an architectural vision of what that culture would be like on the front end. Mm-hmm. I think that culture has sort of defined itself and has become real clear in reflection. For example, that recession period that we were talking about, where are we going to go for help? Well, at that point, everybody was asking that question.
Sure.
And, it was all internal. But shortly after that point, we wound up with some banking relationships, candidly, that you set up that helped us get another toe on a rock. We had a service to provide our customer that I've described earlier. They had a service to provide us. We said, let's work together. And we got out of a bad spot. And that allowed for the next relationship. And what became kind of clear is we live in a work community. It's a community. And it starts at the doors at PermaTherm when people come to work every day.
Mm-hmm.
You spend a lot of time there. You need to enjoy it.
Sure.
You need to like it there.
Have some fun.
Have some fun.
Yeah.
And that community has a much broader reach than just inside of the doors of PermaTherm.
Mm-hmm.
The vendors that supply us materials, the customers that buy from us, the sales associates that facilitate things, the fulfillment folks that make sure orders get there right, the folks in the back that load the truck. If that community isn't fed with an input from each of those individuals that I just described, then nothing comes out. Nothing good comes out from that community to enrich any one of those people. And that's become the goal of PermaTherm. I don't know. Goal's kind of wrong. I think it's a core value. We intend to enrich the lives of everybody that we come into contact with. Well, now that sounds cliche. That sounds very global good, right? It's not. It's elemental.
Mm-hmm.
If the community that you're in, you're not vested in, you're not going to serve it and it's not going to serve you. And I think over time, we've attracted folks that share that same view.
Sure.
And that's been special.
Yeah. Well, and a perfect example of that is I know every year, you have a Christmas party and you not only get together employees, but you, spouses are invited, kids are invited. I've had the pleasure of being at several of those, as PermaTherm has got bigger. The venue had to get bigger with it.
Yep.
And so, but it's a time of celebration. There are presents, to be opened for those kids. You feed everybody, so they're stuffed to the gills with great food. And it's a special time. And you not only include employees and families, but you include, key people, vendors, and others as part of that celebration.
Well, that's our community. That is our community, and and we value it. We value it greatly. PermaTherm is that center point that affects all of those folks. We want those folks to be affected well. So that particular event, which we just had, and it was a blast, is where we really take time and celebrate that. And that's our community.
And I think Santa showed up, didn't he?
We do have a special connection with Santa. He's been spending more and more time with us. And this time he hung out the whole time. So I think the party's probably pretty good.
Wow.
That's a busy guy in December.
Well, I was going to say, and he took a break from the North Pole to come down and hang out with the people at PermaTherm.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. I saw him off to the side with a couple of our, line production specialists. And I think he was picking up a little bit of, manufacturing. Yeah, I think a little bit of, technology may be heading back to the North Pole. Flow logic.
There you go. I mean, he may need panels or insulation for something.
Pretty cold up there.
So carrying on the theme of people, the real assets at PermaTherm are people. It's a crowded, atmosphere out there. It's hard to find good people. We're in a full employment market. So how do you find and select the right people? And then once you find those people, how do you get them in the right seats?
Yeah, well, that's the key question, right? So when people think of manufacturing, I think the classic notion is equipment, machinery, robots, high tech, and it's all required. And there's continual investment in all of those things. They grab the headlines because they're costly and they're cool. And we have a lot of that stuff. That's not really the front line. What's the front line is the people that operate those machines look for opportunities to advance production or advance sales. The key asset in any company, I think, is the people. That's what makes it all work. And, not one person, groups of people. So yeah, it's tough out there right now. Unemployment's at an all-time high, or unemployment is at an all-time low. So scarcity of quality folks is up there. But I think this is kind of the key. That reflective look of what has made this work sort of, defines some core values. And that's another cliche that you read in business books. And very often those core values sound cliche. But once you find the ones that fit you and are you, when presented to the right people, they're attracted to it. And we've had some good luck in that regard. Our values, I think, are attractive to a certain mindset. And the right people in PermaTherm's vernacular are really lifters. You want lifters, people that'll come in and look over a particular division or effort and have an understanding that, okay, I can have an impact here. I'm not just doing a job function as described by somebody else. I'm going to be a part of this process. And I'm going to have a voice, and the voice wants to be heard. And I think that is what we want in every associate at PermaTherm. And when you get that collective power of one, something I learned from you,
right?
From everybody, and that lifts. So I think, at the end of the day, on people, find areas that need attention and describe what you want to occur in that, and find somebody that can take that responsibility and help you lift. Give them room to lift and help you lift. And that's something that we've done. We've been fortunate with, and I think we'll always continue to do.
Sure. Now, kind of just a few closing thoughts for anyone in our listening audience. They're a brand new entrepreneur. They have a vision. They've launched a business, but they've not been a CEO for long. You have a wealth of experience. What would be a few things that you would say to that brand new CEO who has just launched their business in the last 6 to 12 months?
I would say first, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
With a view of being a lifelong learner. Your vision is your vision. And it's incomplete, but it's a great vision. And as you march forward, if you're open to learning about new CRM technologies or new sales methodologies or potentially new markets or potentially new manufacturing processes, don't go so far down the beach that you stay off cue. Keep your target in mind, but adapt. Be open to learning. And the more people that you can get near you, helping you achieve your goal, that share that maybe as a core value and some of your other core values, you're going to get where you want to get. It's about the numbers. It's about the numbers. It's about the numbers. So keep that number one, but there's an awful lot of meat you can put on those bones.
Yeah, that's for sure. So similar question, your peer CEOs out there in the marketplace, they went through the Great Recession with you. They're scarred, but they're not beat down. They're grinding every day. They're juggling way too many plates. What would you say to your peer CEOs who are walking the same path that you're walking right now?
Well, I think there's probably more for them to say to me than for me to say to them. However, in my experience, from a manufacturing point of view, you gotta manage that business, and you can't manage what you don't measure. So pick some metrics, set a goal, and go. Pay attention to your metrics. Was your goal right? Do you need to adjust? But go. Here's one of the things that I've found in our business. There has to be a vision kind of set. And then there has to be execution towards that vision. And the vision kind of changes based on the execution. But if you can have a mix of both vision and a good path, sort of that climb the tree that you mentioned a few minutes ago, and then as you're cutting towards the edge of the forest, you manage and reset that vision, you can pretty much work your way through, around, or towards any goal that you have set.
Yeah. So for our listening audience, if someone wants to reach PermaTherm online, or for anyone that may be a panel prospect or a foam or insulation prospect out there, how do they get hold of PermaTherm?
Well, we'd love to talk to you. We really like speaking with our customers, but we'll chat with you, and we'll answer form emails and all of that stuff. So go to PermaTherm, www.permatherm.net, and there's phone numbers all over that. Call us, email us, fill out a form, or call us at 706-47. You know what? Go to www.permatherm.net and just pick up the phone.
There you go. Ken, it has been a delight to have you on the show today. It has been a delight to work with you for 10 years. PermaTherm's got some great momentum going, and I'm excited about the future for you and with you.
Well, Bill, I so appreciate our business relationship. It's grown into a fantastic friendship, and it's fun to be here with you today. I appreciate the invitation. Thank you.
Well, great. And for our listening audience, this is ProfitSense with Bill McDermott. We'll see you soon. Take care.